In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the tools that are available for controlling the behavior of your footer stamp. Now, to gain access to this tool, what I recommend you do is make a copy of your shortcut that you should all have if you're Worldox managers that gives you access to the Worldox admin program. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a switch to this, which will take us to the INI file. So I just right-click and I copy. And I right-click and paste, and then I have a copy to work with. Once the copy of the icon appears, you'll want to rename that shortcut. And what I do is I call it wdadmin space ini. Then you want to point it to the ini file by right-clicking, go to Properties. At the target location, you put a space after wdadmin.exe space /ini. Click on OK, and then start the utility by double-clicking on that shortcut. This is what the interface looks like, and we're going to focus on the MS Word integration initially. And I'm going to take you through each of these different commands within this list and tell you how it's going to alter the behavior of that footer stamp. Let's start with Disable Stamping. Now, that one's pretty self-explanatory. If you make this choice and then double-click on it and choose Yes, you are going to be turning off the footer stamp feature, so you will no longer be stamping your documents. The next one is very useful. Stamp font size. Now, out of the box, when you install Worldox, if you've activated stamping, it's going to stamp in the footer at a 12-point font, or whatever the default size is for fonts within the documents. Most people want that footer stamp to be smaller, so you just double-click within this field, change it to the font size that you'd like, click on OK, and that will take care of it. Now, any existing stamps that you'll have, you're going to have to update, but from that point forward, mine would be in the 8-point character. The next selection is again another style decision. Out of the box, the Worldox stamp has curly braces around it. So whatever it is, your doc number, version number, whatever you have for your footer stamp is going to have the curly braces. If you don't like those, just double click, choose Yes, click on OK, and from that point forward, the braces won't appear on new documents. Any existing stamps would have to be updated so that the braces will be removed. Hide stamp, well, you're not turning off stamping, but what you're doing is you're formatting that stamp text as hidden text. So it's still there, it's just not in view unless the individual has decided to make hidden text visible in their documents. Stamp on launch means that if somebody is in the Worldox interface and they launch a file from that point, that the Worldox stamp will be updated. For stamp update on open, if the person is in an application like Word, they perform a file open, they then open the file through the Worldox interface, Worldox is going to update the stamp there. Clear stamp on open, again, they are in their application, Microsoft Word, they perform a file open. As soon as they open the file, we're going to clear out that stamp information before we apply the current stamp. Wipe footer on open. Well, here we're not going to just affect the footer stamp inserted by Worldox, but we're going to wipe the entire footer. So you want to be very careful with this one, because if we have page number codes or other information in the footer, that will all be wiped on open before the stamp is applied in the document. The next option, Enable User Wipe Footer option. Now you'll see that mine is set to No. What that means is there is a tool within the Worldox tab in Word, and if we don't have that turned on, that tool won't even be visible. I'm going to show you what I mean. Here we have Microsoft Word before I've turned on that feature, and you'll notice across the top I've selected the Worldox tab. We don't see any mention of wipe footer. Now I'm going to close Word, and I'm going to change that setting to Yes. I'm going to reload Worldox on my system. So Worldox is reloaded. I'm now going to load Microsoft Word, and I'll show you the difference. If I go over to my Worldox tab, you now see wipe footer as an option. And you want to be careful with that, because wipe footer will look at the entire footer area and remove everything that is down there. Returning back to our interface, this next one is very important to understand. Add tab after footer. When World Docs inserts the footer stamp in a document many times on new installs, you'll notice that the document number stamp and the page number are bumping right next to each other, and you have to have people manually insert a tab character in between the two to get things spaced out properly once again. Well, by changing this to yes, World Docs will automatically insert that tab character for you, so that should preserve your page numbering and everything should look correct. Your next choice, use field code stamping. It allows the setting of a Word document field code to be used in specialized document stamping. The field code can be inserted at the relevant location in the document using a Word menu option, and the stamp value will be inserted at that location when the document is saved. It can be used for inserting a stamp anywhere in the document. An example would be in the reference field on the letterhead, and can have multiple locations in a document and can work in conjunction with traditional World Doc stamping. This is a little confusing, so I'm going to show you how you would actually use this. You see that mine is turned on. I'm going to switch over to Microsoft Word, and I have a document here. And let's say I put in a reference line or array line, and I'll put in file number. This will allow me to insert in the World Docs document stamp, whatever it might be. In my case, mine is a document number with a version number. And with that turned on, if you go to the World Docs tab, you're going to have this selection, insert stamp field code. I make that choice, and then when I update my footer, you see it puts in that document number for me. So whatever your footer stamp is, can be inserted in multiple places within your document using that code. Switch back to my interface now. Save current edit position on close. If you're working in a large document with this turned on, let's say you are working on page 25 and you end for the day, so you close the file. With this turned on, when you open up that document the next time, you'll return to that cursor position on page 25. Now that pretty much wraps up our ability to monitor or change the behavior of the footer stamp here under the MS Word integration section. Let's go to MS Word 2003 integration now, and there's nothing within this list. So let's go down to Word 2007-2010 integration, and the first one you see is clear stamp before update. And at the top you see it says it's going to remove the old stamp before it inserts the new one, for tidying legacy stamps, so just for keeping that clean. Next we have clear stamp before PDF. This is going to remove the stamp before using internal save as PDF or XPS function. Stamp in text box allows updating of stamps defined in text boxes. A note on this choice, this will only work well if your document templates are configured with an empty stamp in the text box prior to the document creation. Update stamp on save. That makes sense. Anytime that if you have that turned on, anytime you save your document, it's going to restamp the footer area. Stamp first page only. By default, the World Docs footer stamp is going to stamp every page in the document. If you want World Docs to only stamp that first page, you would activate that by making this selection, double click, and choosing yes. The next choice, no per document stamp override, is going to remove this section, the document stamping section within the document. That simply means if you've turned on document stamping and you don't want your users to be able to remove stamps or make any changes there, they won't have those options available up in the ribbon. Okay, we're going to move over to Microsoft Excel integration now. By default, you see we are not stamping an Excel document, so if you want to turn on Excel stamping, double click, choose yes, click on OK. Stamp position by default is in the left. You see you have the choice of putting it in left, center, or right position. And then your next important choice here would be disable update a file stamp on launch. If you're in the World Docs interface and you have a Excel file and you launch it from that point, this is going to either activate or deactivate the updating of that file stamp when you launch it. This will conclude your introduction of the control capabilities you have when working with World Docs footer stamps.